Welcome to Tracto Memo, the channel where old tractors tell their stories again. In the 1960s, across the vast fields of America, there were tractors that worked tirelessly with farmers day and night. Today, we look back at 5 of the most beloved tractor models of that era, each one a true symbol of a great brand. Farmall 1206. The mid-1960s were years of change on American farms. By 1965, International Harvester was ready to answer the growing demand for power. Out of Rock Island, Illinois, came a machine that farmers had only dreamed of before, the Farmall 1206. It was the first turbocharged tractor to bear the Farmall name, and when it arrived, it changed the sound of the countryside forever. The 1206 stood tall in its striking white hood and bright red frame. It was built only from 1965 through 1967, a short run that made it instantly memorable. The exact price tag when it rolled off the dealer's lot is unclear, and precise production numbers remain debated. What is known is that relatively few were made, and survivors today are considered rare treasures. In the auction ring, a clean, original Farmall 1206 can bring tens of thousands of dollars, cherished not only in the Midwest but across America and even overseas. Beneath that hood lived a powerful heart, a 6-cylinder, turbocharged diesel engine producing about 131 horsepower at the PTO. For its era, that was an astonishing figure. It ran at around 2,400 RPM, fed by a fuel tank big enough for long days of plowing and planting. Transmission came in the form of a durable 8-speed, backed by International Harvester's torque amplifier system. With a working weight pushing close to 12,000 pounds, the 1206 had the muscle to pull heavy implements across endless acres. But beyond numbers, what truly set the 1206 apart was its presence. The shrill whistle of the turbo was new to rural ears. For many farm families, it was the soundtrack of progress. Children remembered sitting on farmhouse porches at dusk, hearing that whistle echo across cornfields, seeing dust clouds rising as the tractor worked its way home. The 1206 didn't just farm the land, it imprinted itself into memory through sound, sight, and smell. Owning a 1206 today is like owning a piece of history. Buyers often check the rear end and torque amplifier for wear, since decades of hard pulling can leave their mark. Fortunately, parts are still available, thanks to a loyal network of collectors, restorers, and salvage yards. Farmers and mechanics alike appreciate how simple it is to work on. No computers, no complicated electronics, just straightforward iron and diesel. The legacy of the Farmall 1206 is more than a chapter in tractor history. It represents the bridge between the horse-drawn past and the mechanized future. It's the memory of fathers and sons guiding heavy steel across land once broken by teams of horses. It's neighbors helping neighbors during harvest, red paint shining under the prairie sun. Though production lasted only a short time, the impression of the 1206 has endured for decades. Wherever classic tractors gather, at fairs, parades, or pulling contests, the Farmall 1206 draws a crowd. Its whistle brings back not just sound, but whole summers gone by. The Farmall 1206 was not simply a machine. It was strength made visible, hope wrapped in red and white, and the promise of progress carried on 4 heavy wheels. It remains, to this day, a legend of the American countryside. And as the dust of the Farmall settles, we cross the prairie to find another legend painted bright gold. Minneapolis-Moline G1000. By the mid-1960s, Minneapolis-Moline was already known for bold ideas and bright prairie gold paint. In 1965, the company unveiled its G1000, a tractor that aimed to match the growing horsepower race sweeping across American agriculture. Built in Minneapolis, Minnesota, the G1000 carried the company's hopes of staying competitive against giants like International Harvester, John Deere, and Allis-Chalmers. For many farmers, it was love at first sight. The G1000 was produced from 1965 through 1969. Exact production totals remain unclear, but it was a significant player in fields across the Midwest and Great Plains. The original dealer price is not well documented, but compared to rivals, it was competitive. Today, restored examples can fetch tens of thousands of dollars, while working survivors still pull plows at farm shows and tractor pulls. Its tall stance and golden paint made it a standout wherever it went. At its heart was a six-cylinder diesel engine capable of delivering roughly 100 to 120 horsepower at the PTO, depending on configuration. It ran around 2,200 RPM, backed by a stout transmission with 10 forward and 2 reverse gears. The fuel tank was sized for long workdays, and its weight, near 12,000 pounds, gave it excellent traction. Farmers praised its balance between raw strength and steady pulling power, whether working deep plowing or hauling heavy loads. What made the G1000 shine was not only its strength but its comfort. Minneapolis-Moline gave attention to operator space, with a roomy platform, simple controls, and a clear view over the long hood. For many farmers, the G1000 represented modern farming, power with ease. The hum of its diesel became part of rural evenings, a low steady song that rolled across hayfields as the sun dipped low. Collectors today admire the G1000 for its durability and relative simplicity. It lacks the complicated electronics of later decades, making it friendly for home mechanics. Parts are less common than those for bigger brands, but dedicated salvage yards and loyal enthusiasts keep them available. When buying one used, folks are advised to check the transmission and hydraulic systems, as years of heavy work could wear them down. The G1000 holds a unique place in farm memory. It was the last great push from Minneapolis-Moline before the company's identity began to fade into mergers. For farm families, it was the golden machine that stood proudly against the greens, reds, and oranges of competing brands. Its color alone brought brightness to gray autumn days. Even now, the G1000 turns heads at shows. Children climb the steps with wide eyes, and old farmers run their hands across the golden sheet metal with a quiet smile. The sound of its diesel, the smell of warm oil, the sight of dust rising behind it, these are pieces of America's rural heritage. The Minneapolis-Moline G1000 was more than horsepower on wheels. It was pride in gold paint, proof that a smaller company could still stand tall in the horsepower wars of the 1960s. Its legacy endures, not just in steel and rubber, but in memories scattered across the prairies. From gold we move to orange, bold and tall. The next giant stood like a beacon on the horizon. Allis-Chalmers D21. In 1963, Allis-Chalmers took a bold step into the horsepower wars. Farmers were asking for more strength, more pulling capacity, and more modern comfort. The answer was the D21. Built in West Allis, Wisconsin, this tractor was not just a new model, it was a statement. At over 100 PTO horsepower, it was the most powerful row crop tractor on the market when introduced. It was painted bright Persian orange, standing tall and proud against the green and red competition. The D21 remained in production until 1969. Exact production totals are not clear, but it was built in respectable numbers and found across the Midwest, the South, and into the Plains. Its dealer price at the time is uncertain, but it was considered an investment for larger farms. Today, surviving D21s, especially in original condition, are highly valued by collectors. Auction prices vary widely, from working tractors used on fields to pristine showpieces fetching tens of thousands of dollars. At its heart was a six-cylinder diesel engine producing around 103 PTO horsepower at introduction, with later updates pushing higher. Rated at roughly 2,200 RPM, the engine was backed by a 8-speed transmission, strong enough for demanding work. The D21 weighed close to 13,000 pounds and carried a large fuel tank, giving it the endurance for long days. It was engineered to pull heavy plows, big discs, and large grain drills that smaller tractors could no longer handle. Beyond its strength, the D21 marked a turning point in comfort. It featured a spacious operator platform, higher seating position, and good visibility over its long hood. Farmers who climbed into the seat felt the future beneath them: power, control, and room to work. The low, steady rumble of its diesel became a sound woven into evenings on the farm. Dust hung in the air, headlights glowing as the D21 worked late into the night. Today, owning a D21 means keeping an eye on its transmission and hydraulics, which can show wear after decades. But its design remains straightforward, free from complicated electronics. Parts are still obtainable through salvage yards and enthusiast networks, though not as common as those for John Deere or International Harvester. Many appreciate the D21 for being tough, honest iron that rewards careful upkeep. The D21 holds a special place in memory because it was Allis-Chalmers' bold declaration. It was their answer to growing farm sizes and increasing demands. On many farms, it represented progress, a leap into modern horsepower. Its tall orange frame stood as a beacon, a splash of brightness on autumn fields. Even today, the D21 draws attention it shows. Children are struck by its sheer size, and older farmers nod with recognition, remembering when it was the biggest thing they had ever seen. The smell of warm diesel, the feel of heavy steel, the echo of its exhaust, these remain tied to a time when farms were changing fast. The Allis-Chalmers D21 was not just a machine. It was a bold voice in the chorus of American farming, proving that power and presence could come together in bright orange paint. Its legacy endures, standing tall in memory just as it once did in the fields. Yet not all heroes were giants. Sometimes the most faithful friend wore blue, steady and true. Ford 5000. In 1964, Ford introduced a tractor that would become one of the most beloved and enduring machines in its long history, the Ford 5000. Built in Basildon, England, and sold widely across both Europe and North America, it symbolized Ford's global vision for farming. While many tractors of the 1960s were built for sheer horsepower, the 5000 combined strength, reliability, and versatility in a way that won farmers' trust for decades. The Ford 5000 stayed in production until 1979, a long run that speaks to its popularity. Exact production totals are not clearly recorded, but the number was high, as the model was exported worldwide. It was especially popular in the United Kingdom, Ireland, and across the American Midwest. Dealer pricing at launch is uncertain, but it was considered affordable compared to some competitors, offering farmers a lot of tractor for their money. Today, well-kept Ford 5000s are still in use, while restored examples appear at vintage shows, often fetching respectable prices. Under the hood, the Ford 5000 carried a four-cylinder diesel engine producing around 69 PTO horsepower, depending on specification. Though less powerful than some of its larger rivals, it was perfectly matched to the needs of medium-sized farms. The engine ran at around 2,100 RPM, with a fuel tank sized for a full day in the field. Transmission choices included an 8-speed or later a 10-speed, offering flexibility for plowing, planting, or hauling. With an operating weight near 8,000 pounds, it had the strength for hard work without being cumbersome. What made the 5000 stand out was its balance. It was not the biggest tractor in the barnyard, nor the flashiest. But it was dependable. Farmers praised its ability to start on cold mornings, to run smoothly all day, and to handle a wide range of implements. It was equally at home pulling a plow, running a hay baler, or hauling wagons. Its reputation for simplicity and toughness earned it a place on farms large and small. To many, the Ford 5000 carried the sound of progress. Its steady diesel rhythm echoed across hedgerows in England and across cornfields in America. Children remember riding along, perched on the fender, feeling the vibration of its engine. The blue paint, accented by white grills and wheels, stood out bright against the green of summer fields. For those buying a used Ford 5000 today, advice is simple: check the hydraulics, transmission, and brakes. These systems can show wear after long years of service. Fortunately, parts remain widely available thanks to Ford's global presence and the long production run. The tractor's straightforward design makes repairs manageable for home mechanics. The legacy of the Ford 5000 is enormous. It proved that a tractor didn't need to be the biggest to be the best loved. It was a workhorse, a partner in the field, a steady friend to farmers who needed reliability above all else. Even now, the Ford 5000 is remembered fondly wherever old tractors gather. Its blue paint glows in parades, its exhaust note carries a hint of the 1960s, and its presence reminds us that farming is built not just on giants, but on steady, faithful machines. The Ford 5000 was not simply a tractor. It was a bridge between continents, a symbol of trust, and a blue beacon of endurance in the fields of both Europe and America. And at the end of our journey, one legend remains: the green and yellow heart of American farming. John Deere 4020. When farmers talk about the most beloved tractor of the 20th century, one name rises above all others: the John Deere 4020. Introduced in 1963 and produced until 1972, the 4020 became the best-selling tractor of its class, not only in America but around the world. Built in Waterloo, Iowa, it carried the familiar green and yellow paint that became a symbol of reliability. For many, the 4020 was not just a tool, but a trusted partner that carried families through seasons of hard work and hope. Exact production numbers are not always agreed upon, but it is estimated that more than 184,000 were built, a staggering figure for its time. Prices when new depended on configuration, but the 4020 was seen as worth every penny. Today, survivors are everywhere, from restored showpieces to workhorses that still run daily. On the auction block, well-kept models often bring high prices, proof of their enduring reputation. Under the hood, the 4020 offered choices of diesel or gasoline 6-cylinder engines, producing around 95 PTO horsepower. Rated at about 2,200 RPM, it could handle nearly any implement a farmer needed. It came with the famous synchro-range transmission, offering 8 forward and 2 reverse gears, and later versions introduced the revolutionary powershift option. A large fuel tank and an operating weight over 9,000 pounds gave it both stamina and strength. What set the 4020 apart was not just specifications, but how it felt to use. Its operator platform was comfortable, its controls intuitive, and its ride smooth for long days in the field. The hum of its diesel became the heartbeat of many farms. On summer evenings, with fireflies rising above the grass, the steady rhythm of a 4020 echoed across the countryside. Children remember climbing into the cab, holding the wheel, feeling like kings of the prairie. Even today, the 4020 is prized for its reliability. Collectors and farmers agree it is one of the easiest tractors to keep alive. Parts remain widely available, thanks to the massive production run and John Deere's ongoing support. When buying used, most look carefully at the transmission and hydraulics, but overall, the 4020 is known as a machine that refuses to quit. The legacy of the John Deere 4020 is unmatched. It bridged the past and future of agriculture, bringing horsepower, comfort, and dependability into one package. It helped families expand their farms, feed their communities, and dream of better tomorrows. And so, our journey across the fields of the 1960s comes to a close. From the roaring Farmall 1206, to the golden Minneapolis-Moline G1000, the towering Allis-Chalmers D21, the faithful Ford 5000, and finally, the legendary John Deere 4020, we have revisited machines that shaped rural America. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, consider subscribing to the channel. Share your own memories of these tractors in the comments, whether you drove them, watched them from the porch, or heard their engines in the distance. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the heart of American farming. Until next time, may the fields always be green, and the memories always strong.